Hello, my name is Syaiful. I am from EMBA in my class. I will today present to you about Nobel Prize winner in 2012 in economic science. The winner is Alvin Erod and Lloyd Syaiful. The title of the theory is about the stable allocation and the practice of market design. Okay, I will start. The content of the presentation is I will tell to you introduction, imaging theory, the evidence of the theory, and the practical design, and then summary. Okay, the introduction. This year's in 2012 rise to Lloyd Syaiful and Alvin Roth extend from abstract theory developed in 1960s of empirical work in the 1980s to ongoing effort to find practical solutions to real-world problems. Examples include the assignment of new doctors to hospitals, students to schools, and human organ for transplant to recipients. Lloyd Syaiful made the early theoretical contribution, which were unexpectedly adopted 2 decades later when Alvin Roth investigated the market for U.S. doctors. His findings generate further analytical developments as well as practical design of market institutions. Traditional economic analysis studies market where price adjusts so that supply equals demand. Both theory and practice show that market function well in many cases, but in some situations, the standard market mechanism encounter problems, and there are cases where price cannot be used at all to allocate resources. For example, many schools and universities are prevented from charging tuition fees, and in the case of human organ for transplants, monetary payment are ruled out on ethical grounds. Yet, in this and many other cases, an allocation has to be made. How does such process actually work, and when is the outcome efficient? Next is I will tell you about matching theory from the Gale and Shapley algorithm. Analysis of allocation mechanism relies on a rather abstract idea. If rational people who know their best interests and behave accordingly simply inject in unrestricted mutual trade, then the outcomes will be efficient. If it is not, some individuals would devise new trades that made them better off. An allocation where no individual perceives any gain from further trade is called stable. The notion of stability is a central concept in cooperative game theory, an abstract area of mathematical economics which seeks to determine how any constellation of rational individuals may cooperatively choose an allocation. The primary architect of this brand of game theory was Lloyd Syaiful, who developed its main concept in the 1950s and 1960s. Unrestricted trading is a key presumption underlying the concept of stability. Although it allows clear analysis, it is difficult to imagine in many real-world situations. In 1962, Shapley applied the idea of stability to a special case. In a short paper joined with David Gale, he examined the case of pairwise matching, who individuals can be paired up when they all have different views regarding who will be the best match. Gale and Syaiful analyze nature at abstract mineral levels. They use marriage as one of their illustrative examples. How should 10 women and 10 men be matched? Well, while respecting their individual preference, the main challenge involves designing a simple mechanism that would lead to a stable matching, where no couples would break up and form new matches which would make them better off. The solution, the Gale-Shapley never accepted algorithm, was set a simple rules that always lead straight to stable matching. The Gale-Shapley algorithm can be set up in 2 alternative ways: either man proposes to woman or woman proposes to man. In the latter case, the process begins with each woman proposing to the man she likes the best. Each man then looks at the different proposals he has received, if any, details what he regards as the most attractive proposal, and rejects the others. The women who were rejected in the first round then propose to their second best choice, while the men again give their best offer and reject the rest. This continues until no woman wants to make any further proposal, as each of the men then accepts the proposal he holds. The process comes to an end. Galen safely proved mathematically that this algorithm always leads to stable matching. The clarity and elegance of the Gale-Shapley paper place it on academic reading lists for economics students worldwide, but its real-world relevance was not recognized until much later. In the early 1980s, Alvin Roth set out to study a very practical allocation problem: the market for newly examined doctors. Next is about the evidence for the theory. First, we'll tell you about the markets for new doctors. In the US, students who graduate from medical school are typically employed as residents at hospitals, where they comprise a significant part of the labor force. During the 1940s, competition for scarce medical students forced hospitals to offer residencies or internships increasingly early, sometimes several years before graduation. Much were made before the students could produce evidence of their qualification, and even before they knew which branch of medicine they would like to practice. When an offer was rejected, it was often too late to make offer to other candidates. A market ridden with such problem does not produce stable match, because not enough offer can be made in time to ensure mutually beneficial trade. In response to this problem, a centralized screening host called the National Resident Matching Program was introduced in the early 1950s. In a paper from 1984, Alvin Roth studied the algorithm used by this clearing host and discovered that it was closely related to the Gale-Shapley algorithm. He then hypothesized that the fundamental reason for the success of the EMBA was that it produced stable match. In the early 1990s, Roth went on to study similar medical market in the UK. There he found that different regions had adopted different algorithms, some of which produced stable matches and others not. Next, the practical. I will tell you about the practical design. Uh, the theory is about the matching doctors and the hospital. From this, from the picture, we can see that when the doctors make offers, then they all first choose hospital A, which accept doctors 1. Uh, in the second stage, Doctor 2 makes an offer to hospital B and Doctor 3 to hospital C, which give a stable matching. When a hospitals have a right to make the offer, the result is instead that Doctor 2 is matched with hospital C and 3 with B. In 1995, Roth was asked to help design an improved algorithm. Along with Elliott Pearson, he formulated an algorithm built on applicant proposal and designed to accommodate couples. The research underlying the revised design prompted the development of new theory. It seems that applicants could manipulate the original algorithm by turning down offers which they actually prefer and keeping those which were worse, in order to achieve a better outcome. The next practical design is about matching students in high school. The Gale-Shapley algorithm proved to be useful in other applications, such as high school choice. Up until 2003, applicants to New York City Public High School were asked to rank their 5 most preferred choices, after which these preference lists were sent to the school. The school then decided which student to admit, reject, or place on waiting list. The process was repeated in 2 more rounds, and students who had not been assigned to any school after the third round were allocated through an administrative process. However, this did not provide the applicants with enough opportunities to list their preference, and the schools did not have enough opportunities to make offers. As a result, about 30,000 students per year end up at schools they had not least. Moreover, the process gave rise to mispresentation of preference, since schools were more likely to admit students who ranked them as their first choice. Students unlikely to be admitted to their favorite school found it in their best interest to list a more realistic option as their first choice, while application where applicants who simply reported their true preference suffer unnecessarily poor outcomes. In 2003, Pratt and his colleagues helped redesign this admission process based on an applicant proposing version of the Gale-Shapley algorithm. The new algorithm proved to be successful, with a 90% reduction in the number of students assigned to a school for which they had expressed no preference. The next practical design is matching kidneys and patients. The matching setting described so far involves two sides that both make active decisions. Some real-world situations are one side, however, in the sense that the other side is entirely passive. The proposed algorithm, the so-called top trading cycle, is in fact very simple. It is based on an initial allocation of objects and subsequent swapping. A challenge in the case of human organ is that some kidney patient pairs may not be compatible and that complex multilateral swaps may be quite time-consuming. Against a combination of theory and experimental work has been used to compare different versions of top trading. As a result, increasingly complex chains of kidney donation are now adopted in a number of US states. The next practical design is extension to new market. A striking feature of the above example is that prices are not part of the process. Thus, the absence of the price mechanism is the basic Gale-Shapley algorithm limit its applicability, not necessary. Algorithm includes price swap in much the same way and produce stable matches with broadly similar features. In fact, matching with price is closely related to auction, where objects are matched with buyers and where prices are decisive. Research that relates matching algorithm to auction has recently generated interesting theoretical results, which appear to be applicable in practice. A case in point is the internet auction, in particular search engines that auction out space for advertisers. Companies in this business have benefited from insight inherent in the Gale-Shapley algorithm and have used top economists as experts in designing new auctions. This year's prize rewards a flourishing field of research where theory, evidence, and design are used interactively. Both Shapley and Alvin Roth have worked independently of each other, but the success of their research is due to the combination of Shapley's theoretical results with Roth's insight into their practical value. The field continues to grow and holds great promise for the future. Thank you for listening to me.